Good morning. Happy Monday. I'm going to give you a sec to grab your coffees and let's settle into the beginning of this week, to a Monday morning, I feel that with you. I know the lighting's kind of off in here. I forgot to bring a light to the office with me today. But it's what it is. I made it into the office before a coffee chat, so that's a new one. Usually I come after. Or I stay in my pajamas and work from home all day. But I have this beautiful space that I can hang out in. Meladine, good morning. How are you? And if I go this way, no, I'll go this way. You can see the cool swings. Good morning, Jay. How are you? Today's drive to school was less than enjoyable. I don't particularly love spring snow if this is the kind that it's going to be like, where it's really just ice clumps that came down and molded together on the ground. That's really what this was. It's disgusting. And the drive sucked, but it's all right. Meladine, we've been missing you too, so I'm glad you're here with us today. Good morning, Angie. Monday morning, welcome to it. Well, if you're new to Virtual Coffee Club, because we've had quite a few new people joining us in the last little bit, welcome. We've been doing this now for over a year, where we just get together at 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time every day, Monday through Saturday, and just have coffee together. It's as simple as that. Good morning, Jim. Some days we get ranty and crazy, some days we don't. Yeah. This is it. Welcome to it. For those of you who have been hanging out for the long haul, if I could send you a prize, I would. Let's put it that way. It's so appreciative that you're hanging out with us on an almost daily basis. So it's good. How's your Monday? How was your weekend? Did you get up to anything? I mean, not that we have anything exciting to do, really. And the weather was kind of gross. At least in southern Alberta on the weekend. We had extremely high winds all weekend long. I want to start off by giving a shout out and a kudos to the farmers, ranchers, volunteers, and first responders. We had a wildfire yesterday in southern Alberta, basically between the communities of Staveley and Claresholm. For those of you not in the neck of the woods, Google that. And we had extremely high winds along with the dry conditions, and everybody worked quickly and it got contained. Now, I have not heard of this as of this morning if there's been much for, oh, somebody's here, if there's been much for damages or sort of what that's looking like for people where the fire was near, or if it was mostly in farmland. I'm not really sure as of this morning, but hopefully everything is good. I hear clickety clacks. That must mean Ashley's here. Yeah. See, I told you I could hear her. She's not used to me being here so early, so surprise. Thank you, Michelle. We almost wore the exact same color today, but I changed my mind at last minute. So funny. Sorry, I digress in my focus moment. But yeah, so yesterday it was kind of scary there for a bit for people, I think, and people just acted really quickly. I shared a video on my Facebook page of that one of the farmers had, where he was in his tractor and he was basically plowing behind him so that they could stop the fire from spreading any faster. And he's just booking her. It was good. So anyway, just a shout out to everybody who helped with that. And then an emergency evacuation center was set up. People were rallying together to have places for people to move their cattle or their horses or any other livestock they had. And I don't know. I think that there's always this interesting, overwhelmingly amazing sense of community when there's a moment of tragedy or a moment of emergency, I guess. And it reminds you that that community and what's happening there is always there. It's just, I don't know, the thought on my mind this morning is just that we have to remind ourselves to pull that out of each other. Because I think during this time frame, it's really easy, and it's been really easy to focus on the way people are acting or treating each other when it comes to mask versus non, vaccination versus non, the dysregulated brain space we're living in with COVID and all of those things. And you start to feel like that community that would rally behind you, it feels like sometimes that they're not there. But I think instances like that yesterday remind us that they are there. We are there for each other. And when push comes to shove, we're going to step in and support each other. But I don't know about you, but it's felt a little bit like, is that the case? Is there really people that will do that still? And I think wholeheartedly the answer is yes. Yes, they will when push comes to shove. So I don't know if that brings you any comfort or not, but I thought it was interesting. Donna, good morning. Tara, good morning. Cheryl, good morning. Kelly, how are you? So that's sort of what's been on my mind on this Monday morning. And yeah, just like Tara says, it's too bad it takes tragedy to bring us together. And usually it does, or it takes some sort of catalyst of some point. And I think right now we're in the midst of an ongoing catalyst. We just forget that because we're so in the depth of it and it's been going on for so long. You know what I mean? But we're there. We're there for each other. We just have to pull that out. And I think what I hope, I guess, is that if you take any comfort in knowing we're there for each other, then it helps in some regard. If something were to happen, we would pull through. Or I hope, and what I think would be really cool, friends, is that if we could ignite each other the same way that an instant like that ignites people, but in our mental health and our connection. Now, it's not as easy because in the state of something that is emergent or something that is tragic, there's roles that people fall into, and there's like a list of things that need to be done, right? So it would be, who's leading the charge on this? Who's going to make that phone call? Who's going to grab their hockey sticks and help the fire? Who's going to be in the fields trying to ensure that the fire doesn't go any further? Who's going to call this? Who's going to move cattle, right? Like there was a list of things to be done yesterday. And when it comes to a mental health conversation or just even our overall well-being as humans to each other, there's not necessarily this checklist. Could we create one? Is there one that comes to that? Is there a way to ignite each other in the communities where you live? Because collectively, we're also coming together from across the globe into Virtual Coffee Club. But in your community, is there a checklist? Is there a way you could start to ignite people to come together for each other? And what does that look like? As a coffee club, collectively for us as a global unit, is there a checklist for us? Is there a way that we can start to come together for each other? Is there things that we could do? Is there, I don't know, an assignment? Do we require that? Because I feel like when people really step up to do those things, it's because they have a job to do, right? As something they know So I don't know if it becomes a collective where we discuss what are some of those things, like what is it that you bring to the table? What is your gift? What could we call you on in doing that? Or is it as simple as we need to ignite each other daily just by checking in? I don't know. My thoughts sort of swirl around that. I would love to know your feedback or your ideas on what that looks like. Is there a way to ignite each other in the same way? Because I think we're going to come to a point, friends, where if we don't start doing that more, we're going to have a lot more tragic stories. Not the same as obviously a wildfire situation, but comparatively so in people needing us more than ever. We know there's stories out there. I've been heartbroken by hearing of people who have sadly succumbed to an addiction, or people who have chosen to take their life because they didn't know a way out, or people who have spiraled downward into a dark place because they don't think they can get pulled out of it. And situations like that, which aren't as definitively defined as the things we have to do when there's an emergency situation and there's roles to play. So what does that look like for you? Any thoughts? Carolyn's with us this morning. Good morning, Carolyn. Hi, Mike. Good morning, Brenda. Carolyn shares kindness, awareness, maybe. I think continued conversation is going to be a big part of that, allowing us to have the space to continue to share these stories and bring up these ideas. Melodyne shares, it's amazing how when real emergency strikes, community comes together. I remember a few years ago when our Ag Society became an emergency evacuation site for a fire in our area. And it was overwhelming, the amount of phone calls and contribution of help that immediately unfolded, an experience that Melodyne's forever grateful for. Thank you for sharing that story. I think, if your community's gone through any sort of piece, you think about when a family has a situation, whether it's a fire or a death or something, people rally around that family, no questions asked. But do we require a defined something to rally around each other? Or can we acknowledge that right now, while things are just messed up in a really weird, undefined way, that we need to start rallying around each other for real, and not just let's keep talking about it in a how do we do this way? How do we really dive in and do this way? So I would love you to think about, and if something pops into mind, to throw it into the comments or to send me a DM. But I'd love you to think about what that could look like in your community and what we could start to equip people with for having those conversations in their community, or having those wherewithals or the somethings to do that we can start to fire people up in that way. That's my thought today. It's big for a Monday, I know. Because I've just had too much good coffee. I don't know if you saw, we'll move to a lighter moment now. I don't know if you saw yesterday in my Facebook stories, because we don't have coffee club on Sundays, it's my sleep-in day. I chose to do a little coffee story talk. So hopefully you check that out. If you didn't have a chance to see it, maybe I'll post it as a post later in just my coffee story of learning what a French press is, falling in love with that way to make coffee, and supporting a local business at the same time. It was so fun. Best cup of coffee yesterday. Oh. I didn't wake up early enough today to do that this morning, but that's okay. So that's my thoughts on a Monday morning. Would love to hear yours, or maybe you think I'm just way off base, or out to lunch, or any of those things, and that's okay too. All feedback is welcome. Kindness approved. All feedback is welcome, because I think you can give oppositional feedback feedback without being rude. But that's what I'm thinking. That's what I feel. That's what I think the world needs more of. And so it's how do we ignite that in each other, and how do we come together to support each other? So let me know your thoughts on that. Let me know what else you think we could do to support each other community-wise as we continue to roll through this, because we're getting fatigued and we're getting tired, and we're all feeling, an interesting conversation I had yesterday is that, someone had said, I'm just done with this. And then she sort of stopped herself and went, I really, she goes, I don't mean that in that way. And so I said to her, it's okay to be, in my opinion, it's okay to be done with the process that we're in and all the things that we have to do through this pandemic. It's okay to feel done, but still acknowledge that that it's serious and there's things to be done. I don't think being done with it means you're dismissing it. You're allowed to be done emotionally and physically with all of these things that have been going on. So give yourself permission in case you're in that bubble and you feel like you couldn't say that out loud, you can. And if you're done, like completely on another way, you're allowed to be done too. Like everyone is allowed to feel what they want to feel. Anyway, have an amazing rest of your Monday. Let me know your thoughts on how we can build community and check in with each other moving forward. And we'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Have an amazing rest of your Monday, my friends.